There exists a profound mystery in those rare individuals who stand unwavering as life's tempests rage around them. People who remain rooted even as relationships fracture, plans disintegrate, and betrayal strikes like lightning. The world may spiral into disarray, voices may rise in cruelty, and unforeseen crises may cascade like falling dominoes, yet these souls maintain an almost supernatural stillness. Their composure isn't indifference but the quiet hum of an inner fortress, as though they've unearthed a hidden truth about existence that most overlook. What fuels this resilience? What silent wisdom allows them to hold their ground while others spiral into turmoil? Many wander through life tethered to their reflexes, mistaking reaction for living. A careless driver sparks fury, a sideways glance from a stranger triggers self-doubt, a colleague's barbed comment poisons an entire afternoon. For them, external events yank at invisible strings tied to their emotions, turning life into a puppet show of highs and lows. But imagine slipping those strings, liberating yourself from the illusion that people, circumstances, or random chance hold dominion over your inner world. Picture a reality where no insult, rejection, or judgment could fracture the calm within. Carl Jung once observed that humanity often chains itself to its own unchecked reactions, mistaking life's unfolding for a personal vendetta rather than a mirror reflecting their unhealed wounds. The raw truth? Nothing external can unsettle you unless it resonates with something buried within. When criticism stings, it's because a dormant part of you whispers doubts. When silence from another aches, it's a signpost pointing to your hunger for external validation. This is why two people can face identical trials. One shatters, while the other emerges with quiet strength. The battleground isn't the event itself but the landscapes of the mind. This journey, often called shadow work, isn't for the faint of heart. It demands confronting the unlit corners of your psyche, treating every surge of anger, every flicker of insecurity, not as nuisances to mute but as messengers bearing urgent dispatches from your core. Yet so many flee these signals, numbing discomfort with distractions or blaming others for their unrest. They wage war against their triggers rather than accepting them as guides. But those who pause, who lean into the ache, discover a revelation. The chaos they blame on the world is merely a reflection of the storms within. Mastery begins when you shift focus from manipulating external circumstances to tending the garden of your mind. The challenge? Most resist this responsibility. It's easier to blame a cruel boss, a failed romance, or fate itself than to admit they've handed their power away, day by day, choice by choice. For those brave enough to stop reacting and start observing, life transforms. Freedom blooms not from controlling others but from releasing the need to. You no longer crave universal approval or flawless plans. Instead, you cultivate an immunity, not the cold detachment of indifference, but the vibrant stillness of a tree rooted deep in bedrock. People may shout, circumstances may shift, yet you remain unmoved, not because you're untouched, but because you've reclaimed ownership of your inner narrative. Jung unraveled the truth many spend lifetimes avoiding. The external world is inherently neutral, a blank canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of our perceptions. A job loss, a heartbreak, a betrayal, these events hold no inherent meaning until we assign it. One person drowns in the story of defeat, another sees the same moment as a catalyst for rebirth. The difference lies not in the event but in the lens through which it's viewed. Until you make the unconscious conscious, Jung warned, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The scripts we unknowingly inherit, about our worth, our capabilities, our place in the world, shape every reaction. Here's the twist. The tighter you grip the illusion of control, over others' opinions, over outcomes, over life's unpredictability, the more suffering multiplies. Needing validation hands others your emotional reins. Demanding fairness from an indifferent universe sets you up for despair. But surrender that grip, not in resignation but in acceptance, and an alchemy occurs. You stop chasing, stop fearing, stop bargaining. Peace no longer hinges on external conditions but on an unshakable inner knowing. Science echoes what sages have long taught. Obsession with control triggers stress, narrows vision, and breeds self-sabotage. The desperate push love away. The fearful manifest failure. True power emerges when presence replaces panic. Consider the untouchable ones. those who walk through fire unscathed. Their strength isn't in bending the world to their will but in mastering their responses. They don't seek perfect conditions, they carry perfection within. Imagine this: a stranger hurls venomous words your way. For most, it's a spark to tinder, a flare of rage, a wound that festers. But for you, having faced your shadows and claimed your worth, the words dissolve midair. Not because you're numb, but because you've healed the parts of you they might have once ignited. This is the Stoic ideal, the Zen equilibrium, a mind so anchored in self-awareness that external noise becomes irrelevant. The journey begins with a single shift, recognizing that every reaction is a choice. When irritation flares, pause. Study the emotion like a scientist, trace its roots, and ask, why does this touch me? What unhealed fragment does this reveal? Each trigger becomes a key, unlocking deeper layers of self. Over time, neural pathways rewire. What once sparked fury now barely flickers. You become the sky, vast and calm, while storms of emotion pass through, leaving no mark. This isn't detachment from life but engagement with it at a higher frequency. When you cease feeding energy into others' opinions, they sense the shift. You become an enigma, unmoved by drama, unshaken by chaos. Opportunities arise where walls once stood. Peace grows where anxiety once thrived. The world, once a foe, becomes a mirror, reflecting back the clarity you've cultivated within. So where do you stand? Are you drifting on the currents of circumstance? Or have you grasped the tiller of your mind? The choice defines everything. For in the end, control is an illusion, but sovereignty over your perception? That's the ultimate power. And once claimed, it transforms not just how you see the world, but how the world sees you.